Yes. Okay. Well, we're back again with our little third part to our, you know, UFOs are fake and gay uh arc or
Is
whatever
that
you
what we're
want to
calling
call
this
it.
trilogy?
That may be a little pessimistic of a title. I'll think of something a little more whimsical instead of just like
I
everything's
think that
fake.
works. I think that's a good
The
one.
nothing ever happens trilogy.
Well, that's pretty vague though. That's pretty vague.
That is true. That's just everything. That's just
That's fair.
yes.
Nothing ever happens ever at all.
No, not at all. But yes. So to kind of cap this little theme off, we are going to be discussing the Majestic 12 documents slash group psyop. You know, however you want to classify.
So, yeah, slash whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start this, Koji? You want to start this
Okay. Okay. So what we do know
like
here is that, of course, what's happened with a lot of these little stories is during the 80s and 90s, people started like retroactively, digging stuff up. So, this is another consequence of Roswell, of, supposedly, allegedly, that, the whole Roswell thing happened, and they claim it was real, and it was UFOs, and there was alien bodies, and that President Truman had an executive order to assemble a team of like a committee, whatever, of scientists and people from the military and other deep state glowies to basically become the UFO squad, the guys who recover them and cover it up.
basically Majestic 12 is supposedly the real G-Men, Men in Black.
Yes, yeah, basically.
Popularly, the story kind of starts with ufologist Timothy Good, right, who in the late 80s received came into possession of American American government documents relating to UFO activity, purporting to reveal the existence of Majestic 12, formed in 47 by executive order by Harry Truman. Again, in the aftermath of the Roswell crash, and kind of with the specific purpose of using recovered alien technology, right, to advance human technology, right, re-engineering it, figuring out how it works to make it work for the government.
Yes, yeah. I know we touched on it a little bit in the Lane episode because there was a big, you know, Roswell connection there.
Yes.
And you know what we talked about there, that there's the idea that that's how the internet came to be, or how
Yeah,
it was,
the internet is
accessed.
alien tech.
Yes, from Roswell
Ooh,
initially. It's like, oh,
that's a wild theory.
yes. Explains a lot though, as we've noticed. It's like, oh, of
Yes.
course the human psyche isn't built for this.
Yeah, this was not made for us. Brief side note, actually. Lane is not the only important kind of cult sci-fi property that kind of uses Majestic 12 in this manner. Deus Ex actually does, which we should probably do an episode on that someday. Um,
yes.
but the original Deus Ex, of course, the main antagonistic force in Deus Ex, the original game, is Majestic 12, which in the lore of Deus Ex was originally an offshoot of the Illuminati. Specifically, they were they were the Illuminati's like tech branch, right?
Ah,
And
yes.
if I remember correctly, much like Lane, um, there was a UFO. Like Roswell happened. Is like again, much like in Lane, where Roswell is just true. Like that just actually was an alien crash in the world of Lane. Same thing in Deus Ex. There was an actual Roswell crash, and there were recovered tech and bodies. There's a little memo you can find about which it's basically just the real life, the supposedly real life lore of Majestic 12, where
Mhm.
in the aftermath of Roswell, um, as well as of course the Second World War, the Illuminati makes Majestic 12, has Truman make it, so that they can study the alien tech and just kind of overall be this kind of secret force in the background of American Illuminati government that advances technology, which is something it's never really touched on again in the rest of the Deus Ex series. Famously, there's like little like grays in Deus Ex and in the sequel, Deus Ex Invisible War, but they're not actually aliens. They're like genetically engineered creatures. It's never stated exactly how. Like, um, it's only ever stated that they're like forget what it's called. They were created as part of some kind of like bovine modification project. So like there's some
Mhm.
cow DNA in there, but you look at them and you're
Ah,
like, what
what part of this is
huh?
a cow? Is that what?
Right. But presumably that's like bullshit to some degree.
Right.
And what's really going on there is they were trying to recreate the aliens. What's implied is that they were trying to recreate the aliens that they uncovered in Roswell to see how they worked. I mean, they have like fucking telekinesis and shit. Like that's not a cow. That's
Nah.
not anything from fucking Earth, dude.
Yeah, no
That
way.
they were cloning aliens. That's what those things are. Maybe they have, maybe they weren't able to fully sequence the aliens, right? They captured them in 1947. Day 6 takes place in 2052. You know, maybe the DNA degraded or whatever, and so they filled it in Jurassic Park style with Earth animals, right? I can see that, right?
Makes
Or maybe
sense.
the whole thing was just the name, the Bovine Project, was just a cover up, right?
Yes. Or it just makes the whole the cattle mutilation squads even funnier. Is that it's like, no, humans did this, but the humans used the cows to make the grain.
Oh my god. Yeah, I wish there was something about cattle mutilations and data. There might have been. There's so many like data logs and like pad entries and shit in that fucking game that I'm sure if I were to play again, I would find some that I've missed, and maybe one of them mentions that. But I've only found the one that mentions like the origins of Majestic 12, the Roswell crash. Um, but so I think it's interesting that interesting and fitting, right? People usually talk about the aliens when it comes to Majestic 12.
Mhm.
People don't really talk about the tech,
The tech,
right? The tech
yes.
aspect of how they're kind of the overseers of technological development, and only Lane and Deus Ex really focused in on that.
Mhm.
And I think that says a lot, right? I mean, those are both incredibly prophetic, um,
Oh
works of art.
yes. Yes,
Um,
immensely.
and so I think they kind of understood that actually what was important there was this concept of kind of modern digital technology being this kind of alien force,
Which
this kind of
honestly,
unearthly thing.
it's fascinating to kind of think about the like if you're looking at the just the timeline of human technology. Everyone, obviously you can just go, yeah, it's going to be exponential or whatever. There things were bound to happen. The world wars really kicked the world into gear to like advance. That's what the world needs, is needs some like a reason to actually like develop crazy technology for that. It always starts, at the military purposes, and then it gets bled out
Mhm.
into, the public. But if you just looked at it from like an outside perspective of how we went from no planes to landing on the moon in what, 70 years, not even.
Yeah, not even,
And
dude.
yeah, not even, it's like 60, like not even that much. And then from that to go to like, obviously you could say things have like stagnated since, like, oh, you've just gotten thinner and thinner smartphones and just kind of stronger internet and certain things like that. But there could be a reason, like everyone's like, oh, it could be Moore's law or whatever technological, walls humanity's been hitting, or competency crisis. There's just so many factors to it. But if you think of it that way, is that maybe in the lens of, say they got UFOs, say they got alien craft and reverse engineered it and made, what led to digital technology and the internet. We reverse engineered all we could. We just hit a wall and we're like, well, shit, we don't have more. Like, that's all we could do.
Mhm.
We can't, couldn't innovate much more past that on our own without some, someone dropping a piece of uplifting technology on the planet for the governments and scientists to find to mess with. And
Yeah,
why
I
we
think
haven't been back to space. It's like, oh, you used to be able to do this with like megabytes of storage and RAM and shit on these old computers, and it's like now we can barely make it out of orbit, apparently, or it's money or whatever. But we haven't been to the moon since the 70s, so I don't know what to, whatever excuses they
yeah.
say. Oh, the Cold War's over. We don't have to do that anymore. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's honestly what it is, right? It's just like, oh, the Soviets are gone. We're kind of like the rulers of the world. Um,
And we won. That's it. Time to just to sit on our asses and collect 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 the money.
but yeah, like why even? Well, it's a combination of that, and it's a combination of that, and like no one really like you said, it's competency crisis, but it's like a purposeful one. Not because people, not because they don't want to, like they don't want humanity to go to Mars or the moon or again any or anything like that, but just because like they don't care, right?
Yes. Everyone's
They
comfortable. There's not a need to be like, ah, yes, I need
yeah
to solve
they
this problem and I need to make technology to address it. It's like, oh, everything's already kind of there, or, you know,
I wouldn't even say that they just they don't care about that type of shit in general,
hmm, fair.
right? It's just why would I spend money on getting us back to the moon or to Mars or whatever when, you know, I can pay for, regime change in some African country or, fucking give money to people so that I can buy their votes ostensibly, right? That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's about pocketing money. It's about using it for stupid bullshit reasons that like no no visionary human being, no human being with any kind of greater ambitions beyond just this, mortal coil, this ball of dirt, like would really find worthwhile. But to the fucking creatures we have in government, they're just like, well, I don't want the best and the brightest here. I want I don't want NASA to be full of the best and the brightest. I want NASA to be, equal and
Equal
diverse. And so, unfortunately, that could end in things that
and cheap
uh
as
you know
well.
and cheap, right? So you
Yes.
just get this complete you effort isn't being put in because effort is kind of in some ways seen as bad, right? Like
Yes,
it's
it's
effort reveals fundamental inequalities between human beings on an individual basis, which can have, you know, wider scale group distinction,
mhm,
unfortunately, right?
yes,
All other else equal, right? Um and so unfortunately, we're kind of putting we're kind of putting like morals and virtue signaling before
everything, you know.
scientific endeavor. Well, I mean, yeah, everything,
Yeah,
but like
everything.
before,
Yeah.
in this context, scientific endeavor,
Yes, yes.
right? Um, which is a shame,
Oh,
right? It is a
immensely,
shame.
yes.
Um, I think money, like, it's just kind of a tragedy, right? That the one thing I actually would want the government pissing away my tax dollars on, they're not. Right? Instead, they're
Yes.
sending my tax dollars to fucking Israel to fucking kill Palestinians, or to Ukraine to, for one, just a smidge of a chance at holding off, the inevitable Russian onslaught, or fucking God knows what absurdities, you know, billions of taxpayer dollars are going for, instead of, you know, getting us off world,
Yeah,
exploring the stars.
real innovation just in all technology, you know. Like there's so much other stuff, you know, instead
Yeah.
of sending the people to go kill the people who make cures for cancer or whatever.
Yeah. It's yeah, or sending fucking giving $1 billion grants to fucking Meta, right? For fucking, like augmented reality research that's never going to go anywhere, because why would any of these tech giants like actually want to succeed when they're getting billions of dollars by the federal government to not,
Yeah.
right? It's the research that gets them the money. It's not successful output that gets the money, right? Successful outputs could actually, if you succeed, well, hey, well, you've succeeded, so there goes your money, man. It's gone because we don't need to give you money. You've done what we wanted. So, like, for like over a decade now, I've been seeing this, like, oh, next gen, like, armor, soldier, like, equipment and stuff. It's never coming though, right?
No, it's not.
We're not getting the fucking, advanced warfare shit, right? The exoskeletons or any of that, because there's no, there's no reason to. Instead, you know, the biggest advancement in warfare has been drones.
Yes, and that's cheap shit. You could like build like hundreds of them in little factories or 3D print that shit, and it's just, you know, you just mass produce it. Simple. It really
Well,
screwed up warfare and made it cringe, you know.
well,
Now that
it's
uh,
brought us back to fucking the 1914,
yeah, it's
basically,
literally
right?
put
Like,
us back into trench warfare, which is insane.
yeah, which very cool, very epic.
Yeah,
That's
they
so
just made,
awesome.
except they made the trenches even worse. Instead of just
Horrifying.
only getting
Yeah.
shelled, now it's like, oh, a little airy ass drone can come and like fire flamethrowers into the trenches and stuff. It's like, war crimes? What are
Yeah.
those? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or just drop
It's
grenades, like just like a game. You just
just fucking kamikaze, like,
oh, that too.
explode you, like,
Yes.
yeah, like,
Yeah. Man, what a time to be alive, you know? Like you go talk to someone from not even that long ago, and it's like, oh yeah, in the future you'll get to see like just constant coverage of warfare and all the unimaginable horrors of it. It's just like right on your little phone. You can just open it up and just be like, how many people got blown up in trenches today in Eastern Europe?
Yes. My daily dose of man-made horrors beyond my comprehension. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, this has been tangent. We went on a
But,
tangent. The
still related to
daily.
technology as a consequence of what the Majestic 12 did with their discoveries. They did this to
Right, yeah,
us.
totally.
Oh, no, 100%.
Majestic 12 is why like Russian 18-year-olds are like, you know, why I'm watching Russian 18-year-olds get exploded live on fucking Hex.com, the everything app.
Man. Oh, God, yeah, we gotta.
um but yeah, so I guess kind of end this tangent. I think that Lane and Deus Ex were onto something there. I think, as we've discussed in prior episodes, there kind of is like a demonic nature to digital technology. Kind of this otherworldly alien nature that's not fit for us, right? I mean, I think
Yes,
we
yeah.
talked about this in one of our very first episodes about the how um kind of schizo ex memesters pointed out how smartphones resemble the um Aztec obsidian scrying mirrors, from which demons, hailed and melted people's faces off, basically, for their blood, their vital energy. Um, so
Yeah.
I feel like there's kind of something to that.
It
And I
really
think
is
there's
just. We've given every human being pocket access to just unfiltered warp energy.
yeah.
Yeah, every
And
time you
then
turn
we're
on that little
we're
screen, you're just getting like blasted right in the brain with the warp.
with pure, yeah, yeah. Um, so I think to some degree there it almost kind of does feel like, yeah, I think everyone's kind of noticed the kind of stagnation of tech. I think to some degree that's just kind of natural,
Yeah,
right? I think the 20th century was kind of an anomaly.
yeah, quite an outlier of, there was so much that happened.
Yeah, that it got us it got us used to that, right? Where you had people go like thinking that that was kind of just gonna last forever, that it was just gonna be exponential technological advancement, forever. But it's just like,
Mhm.
well, maybe not, right? Like maybe that was just a 20th century thing, right? We're just that century was the century where we had this crazy jump um in technological advancement, and frankly, with how insane just that jump has driven so many people, like it's probably a good thing that it's stagnated, right? We need the time to get used to it.
Mhm.
Um, but otherwise, though, I could see the interpretation of like, well, if it is this kind of otherworldly, alien, demonic force, maybe it's being the advancement of of digital technology is kind of being manipulated. It's being kept stagnant because this is the proper conditions for whatever's on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
Wants
that would
the sweet spot for the demonic
oh
invasion of Earth.
man,
It's
that's
just
what a
technologically advanced enough, but not too technologically advanced that we could do something about it.
yes, if anything, the internet was a little too much of a step, but
In some sense, yes. Anyone who's watched or played Metal Gear Solid 2 can tell you that.
Yes. It's like, oh, they went a little too far. You could have slowed down with early internet, left it kind of, you know, that way, but no, I had to take a life of its own.
Yeah. Anyways, though, that tangent aside, um, the Majestic 12 story actually doesn't start with Timothy Good in 87. No one's quite sure when, but the idea of Majestic 12 popped up sometime in the early 80s, actually. Around the time, that this was when, the Bill Moore's book on the Roswell incident um, came out and popularized Roswell. Again, I mentioned um, in the prior episodes how Roswell wasn't really known before the 80s, right? Not until Bill Moore's book popularized it. Before that, people would have been like, "Huh? Like what? Roswell? What's that?" um, but so after that, after this idea of Roswell and the cover up, right? People started naturally speculating about some secretive, of course, I think this is probably also helped inspired by reports of the Men in Black, which had been going on since the 50s. That there's this idea of like this secret government, agency that was behind the cover up, that was, part of, the recovery effort and all that jazz. Um, and so sometime in around the 80s, apparently a television producer, Jamie Shandera, received documents about Majestic 12. Um, and it should be noted, right, that this Jamie Shandera was a friend of Bill Moore. In fact, Bill Moore also apparently received anonymous um, letters, um, which led to the uncovering of the supposed Cutler twinning memo, um, the Truman Forrestal memo, all these documents relating to Majestic 12. So I think, again, we mentioned Bill Moore before, right? A man who self-admitted came out and revealed, yes, I took part in a psyops campaign against a fellow ufologist, Paul Benowitz, at the behest of Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Like,
Yeah, like
like,
the same names keep popping up in regards to all of these,
yes,
sightings and conspiracies. Like Richard Dottie was also involved in
yeah, yeah,
Majestic 12 shenanigans and, perpetuating the story of like, oh yeah, the MJ12 stuff, real. Yes, of course.
meaning that, unfortunately, probably not.
Yeah, sadly, and
Sadly,
all the
probably not.
same names just appear in all of the famous and biggest like UFO related conspiracies of,
Yeah, Majestic 12, Roswell, Dulce, you know, um, Men in Black to some degree. Like, it's unfortunate, but it's it's very likely, if not certain, that Majestic 12 is some kind of psychological operation on the part of the United States Air Force Office of Special Investigations or some such entity. Just because of the involvement of Bill Moore and Richard Doty, so yeah, very cool story, very awesome, right? I think the idea, like the idea of Majestic 12 is basically like some real life SCP shit, some real life X-Files shit. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. Everyone likes that, right?
Yes,
That
it is.
rocks.
Yeah, and
Secret
word,
organization that deals with the supernatural. Awesome.
they really cooked with the name on that one. Like,
Oh
damn,
yeah,
Majestic
Majestic
12, you
12.
hear
Like,
that, it's like, ooh, they really,
you're like, damn, these guys are
they
these
knew
are
their
something
shit.
else. Yeah, they were on something, bro. So it might have been psyop, but whoever came up with it was honestly, whoever they get to come up with these psyops should just be like a sci-fi author or something.
You'd
Like,
think so. I know, right? Like, they could do some shit on the side that's, but
yeah,
who knows if, like, all these, this team of fake ufologists that clearly existed, um, just all of them, they all just, surely they all must have gotten together at some point and just been like, all right, here's the lore, here's the shit we're going with. Everyone gets a little piece of the puzzle. It's like, oh, you can
yeah,
have this person drop the Majestic 12 story to this person, have this person drop the Dulce stuff to this person, and this person to do the Area 51 story, and just like, just handing out all this stuff to create a story over the course of, well, I was gonna say decades, but technically in the 80s, retroactively, kind of altering history a bit to be like, oh, it was always a, you know, alien story and not just, oh yeah, it was immediately, Roswell immediately confirmed it was just shitty weather balloons that they were using to spy on the Soviets. And we're just going to completely warp the real press conferences and all the stuff that happened around that and just say like, oh, but that was all fake and I have the documents to prove it by the Special Investigations Office here.
yeah, yeah. So there's, yeah,
This is interesting because now I'm thinking of if the competency crisis hasn't reached all the way to the core of glow ops and shit. what will they use? What will be our Roswell? Like a thing that we know was just a thing that happened that they warp sometime in the future to be like, oh, it was a conspiracy all along,
I don't think I don't think there's any way we can know, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's
again,
of
before
course.
the like, it's kind of difficult to think about, but like before the '80s, no, like again, Roswell, the Roswell crash, no one knew about that. That wasn't like as now it's downright a part of American folklore, right? It's iconic. There's a yearly Roswell UFO festival, right? But back then, like no one had heard of this.
Mhm.
It was just a weird thing that happened in the 40s that, maybe at most the residents of Roswell knew about. Um, and even then it had been by the 80s, right? It had been so long that, I bet plenty of people didn't know about it. Um,
Yeah.
even there. Um, so and then of course you have stuff like Dulce, which was just completely made up. There's nothing factual about the Dulce story.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, same thing with Majestic 12, actually, right?
Right.
So like they might not even use an actual event. They might just more
Fabricate
likely
some
just
stuff.
make shit up whole cloth. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't know that, like, thousands of things get memory hold by the day. It's easy to just pick one out and be like, ah, yes, this thing that got completely erased, we're gonna bring it back. Make a whole plot for the peasants to.
Well, I hope they do the 4chan alien photo.
Ooh,
I
yes.
hope that, because like I'm totally like I'm telling you guys now. If they decide to like make an op out of that, I don't care. I'm joining in, right? Like I'm helping the glowies to psyop you. I don't know what to tell you, because I think it'll be funny. I was there. I'll be like, I was there. I saw the alien photo. I saw it. It was real. It actually happened. The conspiracy's true. I didn't I
Yes.
didn't I didn't see shit.
I saw one of the Gorillion falsifications that were made.
Yeah,
All the
I saw one of the
recreations that everyone had.
yeah. So like if it, so I'll have fun with it. I'll have fun with it. And part of me wonders if like that's like, at least for some people involved in stuff like in like Roswell, for instance, if like there were some people involved in that story who are like me and they were just like, I didn't see shit, but I'm gonna fuck with people. I'm gonna
Yes,
say I did.
honestly, yeah, with any of these
Who weren't
ufologists,
federal
it's
agents, right? They were just tricksters. They were just silly little guys who were like, "Yeah, I saw the alien craft."
honestly even more props to them. Like, yeah, you could say all you want about hating the glowies and the ops, but it's like, but what if it was
But
funny? It was funny. There's
yes,
my
I hate federal agents, but I respect those who do it for the love of the game.
just just to troll the shit out of people. It's like, oh, honestly,
If
we
it's for
should we
the,
should strive to be like them instead of being like, oh, these assholes. People say no. Actually, it was actually very funny. Like, look what they did. Look what they've done. People are like
it,
still
like
convinced of the Roswell corpses. They're like, oh, they're still out there.
like
You know?
yeah, I do think it is extremely shitty of like our government to lie to people, to us,
Oh yeah,
about this
of
kind of shit.
course.
And like to the point where they like literally like psyop people into insanity over it. Immeasurably shitty, but like to some degree, like yeah, it is kind of funny. Like it is like I just don't like it when authority, like figures of authority do it. But like if you're
Yes.
just some like random dude who's like you know you're from Roswell, New Mexico, back when it was just a tiny little fucking town that no one knew about or cared about, in the 1940s. You're by the 80s. You were an old man. You had nothing really going for you. You just had to go. You know what? I'm gonna have some fun.
May as well. Oh, with a laugh. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Just troll the planet. In your final years. That's what I would do.
Hey, yeah,
So I hope.
there's a reason to live. Just wait for when they try to make a
Yeah,
psyop out of some stupid little story that you were vaguely familiar of. It's like, oh, I got the scoop for you. I was there. I was in those
I was
threads.
there.
So,
I saw.
you know, that 5 hour video, real. I watched all
I
five
saw it. I
hours.
watched it. I watched it. Yeah. I was driven
Yeah.
partially insane. It made me. In fact, I didn't remember that I watched it until just recently, because it erased my memories of watching it. But
Ah,
hearing
yes.
about it now, it jogged my memories. They came back to me.
Like,
Yeah,
speaking of, some men in dark suits visited me immediately after watching. I
they
wonder if
told me to
that's
shut up.
might have neuralized me for all I know.
Yeah, they looked like they were from the 40s or something. It was really weird. I could tell they were really going for the bit too, because they called me a slur.
I'll add some more to the Men in Black lore. It's just like, oh yeah, they're actually accurate to the times. On top of
Yeah,
just being
yeah.
weird.
Kind of,
Wow.
they'll just look that way. They live it, right?
I was gonna be like, oh yeah, one of them was like he was just chuffing darts the whole time. Just he went through like 15 cigarettes while we were talking.
Bro just pulled out the fucking. He pulled out the fucking cigars while we were there, bro.
Damn.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do an interview about my Men in Black experience, where we just sat down and like there's a few questions about like aliens, UFO shit, but then he just started bitching about his wife. He was just a
Yeah.
man in black vented to me about his wife for like 80 minutes.
Yeah, he showed me his flask was empty, and he made a passive remark about going home to beat the shit out of his wife.
Christ. Oh man, this is truly one of the episodes of all time.
Yeah, it's so real.
It's amazing, yeah.
Thank you to the ufologists of the 80s who did a little bit of trolling. You're some real
Except you, Bill Moore. You're a piece of shit. You drove Paul Pedowitz insane.
yeah. Now you don't. You can. Yeah, you know what you
You
did.
suck. You too, Richard Doney. You fucking glowy. You suck.
Man. See, if you did
You're
this
bad,
and
and you should feel
weren't,
bad.
if you did this and weren't receiving checks from the government, then we'd
Then you're cool.
then you're cool. Then it's funny.
Then you're awesome.
Nah,
Yeah, fine by me in that case.
nah. You got that Office of Special Investigations coin. Yeah, nah. Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here. You suck. If you're not doing it for the love of the game, you're not really doing it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. That's the thing to strive for. There, it's to do it for the love of the game. That's where we stand on the issue.
Yeah. Shit. Yes. On that note, like,
Because there's not a whole lot more to like. You could just go through all the Majestic 12 documents and all the little nitty gritties, but what's the point? Like, we're here to just be like, hey, same guys as Roswell, same guys as Julesy, same guys as Area 51. It's all just been the same shit. It was all just a big story that just
it was an op.
cemented itself into American culture, like immensely, like inseparable from American culture, which, hey, I mean, that's pretty fascinating. Like, that's, like what I was talking about in the last episode about, this myth, like, building and how it just evolves over time and just roots itself deep into something and becomes basically inseparable from it. Of, like,
Yeah.
and as time goes on, how
Yeah.
it's going to be even more blurred and strange.
I think the important takeaway of this episode and really this whole little trilogy we've done is I suggested ending it with talking about Majestic 12 because I just think it's a cool little story.
Yeah.
Right? It's interesting. The story about the story is even more interesting in my opinion. But again, the important takeaway is that the declassified FBI file on the Majestic 12 documents it shows that there was no real interest. Doesn't mention, it doesn't show that there was any interest or any kind of real will to further investigate, to find or prosecute the people responsible for the forgery, right?
Mhm.
Which you would think they would, right? This, that's kind of a big deal, right? Forging, you know, U.S. documents, government documents like that. That's a big deal, even if it is about silly UFO stuff.
Yeah.
But so that indicates that like we've been saying this whole time, that it was an op.
Yeah, it
It
was
strongly
on
indicates.
purpose. It was, they they allowed that slash instigated it.
Yes. And so the important takeaway is, you know, if you think that the government isn't willing to lie about the most absurd shit, whether it's Majestic 12, whether it's about secret, you know, alien bases under Dulce, whether it's about an alien crash happening in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. think again, right? The government will say the most absurd shit to get what it wants, right? You may think,
Mhm.
why would like if it wasn't true, why would you know a big lie like that? The bigger the lie, the I think for a lot of people, the easier it is to believe, right? Because you go, well, why would they lie about that? Well, they would. They would lie.
Yeah, it's
They
yeah,
would lie
it's
about the most absurd shit.
yeah, it's
They would.
simple
They
as
will try to
shit.
make you believe the most absurd shit. And if they can make you believe the most absurd shit, they can make you do absurd shit. They can make you willingly, happily vote or cheer for your own rights to be taken away. And God knows what else. This has been Layer 1.
Yes, it has. See you next time.
Coming at you live from beyond the Marv Zone. Bye bye.